Hello everyone, and welcome back to another product review. Today is basically the second half of an exploration and review I'm doing on Gleichweit's products. If you didn't catch the previous video, I did a review on Gleichweit's mouthpieces. But now I'm back to review their Clarinet barrels. And just to be clear, Gleichweit has not sponsored this video in any way, though I am thankful to them for sending out their mouthpieces and barrels for the express purpose of doing these reviews. Now, with that being said, let's jump into it. So, if you will all remember from my previous video, the Gleichweit company was founded in April of 2019 by Johannes Gleichweit. However, prior to this, Johannes had been making and refacing his own mouthpieces for many years previously under the Maxon brand. However, Gleichweit's line of barrels is a truly new endeavor. Collaborating with Amir Radisevich, Johannes and Amir started creating barrels in 2020. After much designing, experimenting, and testing, Amir told me that they had gone through about 150 different forms of barrels. They released their new line of barrels on August 1st of 2021, so just a couple months ago. Currently, these barrels are available in essentially two different models with some variation. The models are the B1 and its more rotund brother, the B2. They both feature the same identical bore. It's what Amir tells me is a standard buffet bore, and I know buffet's bores can change depending on the model, so think R13. Both barrels are made 100% out of hard rubber, and there is also a variation of both barrels that are made out of a special marbled hard rubber. I'm not sure what the manufacturing/production process is for this alternate material, but Amir assures me that it is also 100% hard rubber. In general, I'm a fan of hard rubber barrels. You don't have to worry about their dimensions shifting or them cracking. Additionally, they're lighter, so it's a little easier on my noodle arms. Now, a quick note. The barrels that Amir sent me have been modified slightly to play better on my set of Tosca clarinets. In general, the Tosca barrel bore is a little bit different than your standard R13. I do not think they did this special for me because in general, Amir said that they are capable of working on and adjusting these barrels to better match any individual instrument. While at the moment, the barrels are designed specifically for buffet or buffet style instruments, Amir says there are plans to release Selmer, Yamaha, and other brand versions very soon. Now, with all of that being said, let's get into the listening portion of the review. In the next section, you will hear the same excerpt played 5 separate times. Once with each version of the B1 and B2, and then once with one of the stock barrels that came with my Tosca clarinet. There's one issue with these recordings. The barrels are different lengths, and so the pitch will unfortunately be fluctuating. For instance, the regular hard rubber B1 and B2 are a standard 66mm length. They were sold out of the longer lengths of the marbled versions, and so Amir sent me 64mm long barrels. In addition to this, my favorite buffet barrel is 65mm long. Originally, I tried very hard to equalize the lengths of the barrels by pulling them out. However, I quickly noticed a degradation in the sound quality with some of the shorter barrels if pulled out too far. So in an effort to maintain the overall sound quality of these barrels, I did not pull them out as far and just allowed them to be sharper than the other barrels. As a result, the intonation difference between some of these barrels is as much as 20 cents. Obviously, this is not ideal. So in an effort to help out with this, I will be playing a tone cluster on the piano between each recording. Think of this as a sonic palate cleanser. The pieces of ginger that come with your sushi, if you will. Hopefully it will make the shifting intonation be not quite so jarring. Again, I'm sorry, I know this is not ideal, but unfortunately there was no real way around it. After the 5 excerpts, I will play a quick intonation test on the standard B2. And with all that being said, let's give everything a listen. Alright, and there we have it. Now before I go on, pause the video and let me know down in the comments below which barrel you thought sounded the best. Also let me know which barrel you thought changed the sound in the most noticeable way. The answer to both those questions may be the same barrel, or it could be two separate barrels. In either case, I'd like to know what you think. Now, I'll tell you what I thought. When testing these barrels out, the standard B2 was by far my favorite. That's why I decided to do the intonation test on that barrel. Another clarinetist who visited me and also tested them out also preferred the standard B2. The sound behind the instrument was clear and round, and it felt great to play. In fact, all the Gleichweit barrels felt great to play. On my friend's setup, he felt there was a slight amount of resistance when starting notes, but then he felt the air move freely as he continued through a line. His setup is different than mine. The barrels to me felt pretty much like what I'm accustomed to. Nothing too free-blowing and also nothing crazy resistant. Pretty middle of the road, at least for my setup. But I digress. Let's get back to the recordings. So while the B2 had been my favorite barrel to play on prior to the recordings, upon listening back, I think out of all the Gleichweit barrels, I actually preferred the marbled B1 the best. Something about it really caught my ear. There's a completeness to the sound that I really like. There's some warmth and roundness while still maintaining plenty of resonance. Now perhaps it's a little unfair since that is also one of the sharpest barrels, and it could be I just naturally like the sound of the slightly increased pitch. But no matter what the reason is, that's the one my ear liked the best. However, that being said, I still like the B2. It was just perhaps a little too muted or diffuse on my setup when listening back to the recordings and comparing it to the other barrels. Now, let me address something. I can easily envision a world in which many of you preferred the sound I got from the standard B-flat Tosca buffet barrel. I think my sound is a little more naturally covered, and the added focus and resonance that the buffet barrel gives helps to balance it out nicely. Conversely, in general, I think the Gleichweits are a little more covered and more geared towards emphasizing the fundamental, with the B2 having a slightly stronger effect in that regard. But the B1 and marbled B1 in particular also allowed for some nice resonance, and that's why I think it was probably my favorite of the Gleichweits. But while I may sound best on barrels that allow for a slightly more lively sound, that may not be the case for everyone. Whenever I'm picking out clarinet equipment, I'm doing a sort of balancing act. So for instance, if I'm playing on a mouthpiece, or you're playing on a mouthpiece that is particularly bright, particularly lively, I usually pick ligatures, reeds, or barrels that will add a little more warmth or cover to the sound to help balance it out. Those of you in that position who are used to playing brighter mouthpieces or a brighter setup may like the Gleichweit barrels because it can help to round out your sound a little bit. However, those of you already playing on darker or more covered setups may not prefer the Gleichweits, as you find it takes more harmonics away than you're willing to lose. Obviously, everyone's looking for something different in their sound, and it's a very personal choice. In conclusion, I think that Gleichweit has produced an excellent set of barrels that contain their own unique identity. They are certainly worth testing out. I'm always happy to see good new products enter the market. It's always good to have more options, and competition is ultimately good for everyone. Anyway, if you are interested in trying out these barrels for yourself, you can find them on Gleichweit's website. They cost 240 euros plus shipping, which is, about $280 plus shipping here in the US. Now that may seem a little pricey to some of you, especially those who are averse to the idea of a hard rubber barrel to begin with. However, I think that the hard rubber itself is 100% one of its strongest selling points. In any case, they are certainly comparable to other barrels at this price point. Anyway, that just about wraps it up. Please let me know if you have any additional questions or comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, and it'd be really awesome to hit that before the end of the year. As always, thanks so much for watching, and happy practicing.